This is a stimulus update and daily news report. Got some good news. Looks like the IRS won't be spying in people's bank accounts that have at least $600 in the account, but they did change the number a little higher. I'll give you the details on that. When it comes to stimulus, over 1 million stimulus checks have been sent out to Californians this past week. I'll give you the latest on other stimulus checks. With student loan forgiveness, Progressive's deadline is just 2 days away for President Biden to say whether or not he could cancel $50,000 in student loans. I'll give you the updates with that. President Biden had multiple meetings yesterday with progressive Democrats as well as moderate Democrats, including Kirsten Sinema. I'll let you know what came out of that meeting. Looks like President Biden has dropped down the price to $1.9 trillion for that Build Back Better bill. I'll give you some other more important updates and show you some video clips along the way. Hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday. If you appreciate the fact-based, fast-paced updates, hit the like button down below, and I'm giving $200 to my subscribers. I'll talk more about that later on in the video, but first, let's start off with some good news. So Biden admin backs down on tracking bank accounts with over $600 in annual transactions. So I've spoken about this a lot. It's gotten a lot of pushback from both the Democrats and Republicans. Here's a video clip explaining more of what is happening.
Senate Democrats are now scaling back a proposal to make banks share more account information with the IRS. It's a new plan to try to crack down on wealthy people who are dodging taxes. In essence, start tracking how much money they're depositing and withdrawing from their accounts, especially at the end of the year, and then compare that to their tax filings. Every account with total annual deposits or withdrawals of $600 would face these rules. But that provision just got a ton of pushback from the banking industry and from Republicans who say it just raises significant privacy concerns. So Democrats are changing the threshold to $10,000. CNBC's Ilan Moy now. Why the change?
Well, Shep, Democrats are basically acknowledging that their original plan went too far. It is hard to make the case that you need information about bank accounts with as little as $600 in order to crack down on the rich people who aren't paying their taxes. So this new plan, as you mentioned, would raise that threshold for reporting to the IRS to $10,000 in annual transactions. And any money in the bank from your wages, Social Security, or other federal benefits aren't included, since the IRS actually already has that information. Now, two powerful Democratic senators are spearheading this change: Ron Wyden, the head of the Finance Committee, and Senator Elizabeth Warren. The White House has blessed this new approach as well. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen said the proposal reflects the administration's strong belief that we should zero in on those at the top of the income scale who don't pay the taxes they owe, while protecting American workers. But Republicans are still railing against this, even with the higher threshold. They point to privacy concerns, compliance costs for the banks, and the risk that this could trigger audits for those at the bottom instead of those at the top.
It's a stupid idea that I hear from Iowans all the time, that they don't want the peering eyes of the IRS snooping on them. The middle class is going to be hurt as a result of this.
Democrats believe this proposal could raise hundreds of billions of dollars in unpaid taxes. And Shep, they're counting on that money to pay for all those big spending plans.
Ilan, thank you.
So what do you think about the change going from $600 to $10,000? Is that still okay that people with $10,000 in their bank account, the IRS could still kind of spy on them and check on them? Is that a good idea, bad idea? Also, it made no sense that they're trying to go after wealthy people not paying taxes and looking at bank accounts that had $600. It just made no sense at all. But is $10,000 a better number? Let me know your thoughts on all that down in the comments below. So Chuck Schumer, Majority Leader, reiterates call for Biden to cancel $50,000 in student loan debt per borrower with the flick of a pen. So not giving up on this, he's still talking about this on a regular basis. What he recently said is student debt makes it harder to achieve the American dream, the sacred promise that if you work hard and play by the rules, one day you're going to make it here in America. He also said for generations, higher education has been a ladder up in the middle class, but today student debt is an anchor weighing too many down. So he's asking for President Biden to cancel $50,000 in student loan debt for every borrower with the flick of a pen, meaning that it can be done through executive order. Now, progressives gave a deadline to President Biden saying, progressives, Democrats pushed Biden to advance plans for student loan forgiveness. So basically, must have been a few weeks ago, they gave him a October 22nd deadline saying that you have to let us know by October 22nd whether or not President Biden, could cancel student loan debt just with a flick of a pen through executive order, so it doesn't have to go through Congress. So it's October 20th. Haven't heard anything yet. Haven't heard anything from President Biden. There's no consequences of whether this October 22nd deadline passes or not. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you updated with that. When it comes to Social Security increase, so Social Security got its biggest COLA bump ever. Are rising food prices covered? Most likely not. So 5.9% was the COLA, the cost of living adjustment, that was just announced October 13th, and it's going to go into effect January of 2022. But is it enough? 5.9%. Many are saying it is not enough, especially with inflation still going up, but most importantly, rising food prices. Speaking of rising food prices, a billionaire grocery store owner predicts food prices will surge 10% over the next 2 months. That's a lot of money. It's already high enough, and they're saying that it'll go even higher. So supply chain crisis leading to food supply shortages in schools nationwide as well. So this isn't just affecting people at the grocery store, it's also affecting schools too. So back to what the billionaire was saying, who owns all these food shopping or supermarkets. What he said is, I see over 10% in the next 60 days. He didn't specify how much would be passed on to the shoppers, but he said he was concerned that people are paying more. Also, what he said here is that if you have 10 different types of muffins, they're only going to sell the top 3, and that food companies would drop promotions and stop selling low volume goods. So it looks like we're going to see a lot of big changes in the grocery store coming up. So there should be some type of help for people who could to deal with these rising food costs. You would think that if food prices are so high and people on fixed income can't afford these food prices, what's going to happen? Something has to give. So hopefully something could happen with that. Now, when it comes to helping people with heat, senators ask Biden administration to fund program that helps pay heating bills. So heating bills are expected to go up a lot. So heating bills could jump as much as 54% this winter due to higher prices of energy. So with heating prices going up, food prices going up, something's got to give here, and that's where the need for a fourth stimulus check may come into play and may show more of a need to Congress, to the politicians, saying that people desperately need a fourth stimulus check to keep up with rising heat costs as well as rising food prices. So in terms of stimulus checks, more than 1 million California stimulus payments were released last week. So what it's saying here, 1.2 million California stimulus payments worth almost $890 million went out October 15th. Now in terms of a regular general fourth stimulus check, where do we stand with the $1,400 payments for seniors? As of now, the $1,400 senior stimulus check, still waiting every single day. There's new articles coming out on it, but no politicians have accepted that yet. Looks like all the politicians, Congress members, are just focused on trying to get anything passed in Congress. That Build Back Better bill has been taking months and months of negotiations back and forth. The deadlines come and go. But when it comes to a $1,400 check for seniors, still nothing yet. And when it comes to the general fourth stimulus check, which is desperately needed at the moment, I think with rising food prices, rising heat costs that are going to come over the next few months, it's going to be a really bad situation. That may be the need for another fourth stimulus check. Now, in terms of those meetings and what's going on, so Biden seeks to restart stalled agenda with crucial meetings with Democratic lawmakers. So, President meeting House progressives at 2 p.m. This was yesterday, and bicameral moderates at 4:30 p.m. So, what came out of those meetings, I'll let you know in a moment. So Biden pushes progressive and centrist Democrats closer to a deal on Build Back Better bill. So President Joe Biden huddled with members of two warring factions of Democratic lawmakers on yesterday, in a bid to salvage his sprawling economic agenda. By late Tuesday, there were some signs of progress towards a compromise between progressives and moderate Democrats. The talks came as Democrats struggled to bridge deep divisions with their caucus over a massive bill to invest the social safety net in climate policy. So what came out of that meeting? This is what Press Secretary Jen Psaki said. The president is more confident this evening about a path forward. the discussions were focused around a shared commitment to the care economy, ensuring working families have more breathing room, and addressing climate crisis and investing in industries of the future. So saying that things got better, things are moving forward, but are they? Well, we saw yesterday that even though there was an awkward picture and video that I showed between Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders to seek a deal on Biden agenda, all he said is that they're talking. Joe Manchin saw the opportunity to have a picture, even though they weren't even close to it. Bernie Sanders didn't really seem like he was for it, but there might be a deal coming. So progressives see budget deal getting close after Biden meeting. So after the meeting yesterday, Ro Khanna, who is one of the progressives, said, "I felt that we're closer to a deal than ever felt before. I felt the president was engaged in details of the negotiation in a way he hasn't been before." So I've been reporting this type of stuff for about a year and a half, ever since the whole stimulus thing happened. And I've heard this many times before. We're closer than ever to a deal. At this point, it just means words with so many deadlines come and gone. We want to see action, and it doesn't matter how great or how close a deal is. A deal isn't done unless a deal is done. Biden tells Democrats that package of up to 1.9 trillion should be new target of talk. So looks like President Biden has now set a new low number. Instead of 3.5 trillion, looks like 1.9 trillion is going to be the number. And actually a little lower, between 1.75 trillion and 1.9 trillion. A lot of things have been cut. Looks like community college has been cut. So in that 1.9 trillion package, that includes at least some expansion of Medicare to offer new benefits to seniors, the introduction of universal pre-kindergarten, and billions of dollars to address climate change, the sources said, cautioning that many of the details must still be worked out. So a lot of the big proposals, I guess 2.5 trillion of it, have been cut out of the plan so far, and it might be the only way that this thing will pass. I'll keep you updated on what happens with that, but take a look at this video clip of Representatives Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman, both in Congress, both part of the progressive squad, talking about the latest progress here.
A key meeting last night as talks over President Biden's sweeping economic agenda reach a critical point. Progressive Bernie Sanders and moderate Joe Manchin appearing with their arms around each other outside the Capitol.
We're talking. All right, we're talking.
Looks like all peace and harmony. Now, Manchin earlier in the day responded to Sanders' claim that he's getting in the way.
You're holding up the Biden agenda.
No, there's 52 senators who don't agree. Okay, and there's 2 that want to work something out if possible in the most rational, reasonable way. That's all.
Today, the president is bringing over 2 groups of House Democrats to the White House, meeting separately with moderates and progressives to see if they can move toward common ground. Joining me now, 2 progressive Democrats, Congresswoman Cori Bush of Missouri and Congressman Jamal Bowman of New York. Thank you both for being here with me this morning. So I guess some housekeeping first. Joe Manchin and Bernie Sanders meeting behind closed doors yesterday. We know Joe Manchin met with Pramila Jayapal, who leads the Progressive Caucus. What's your take on these meetings?
Having the meetings, great. Let's have the meetings. But also, what comes out of it? Are we bringing home climate action? That's the question. Are we bringing home free community college? Are we bringing home what we need for our care economy? Those investments that we need right now for our communities. The talks are great. Let's talk and act. Let's talk and move, because the clock is ticking. People need help right now.
So the president meeting today with a group of moderate Democrats and progressive Democrats. Are either of you going?
No, we haven't been invited to the meeting, and that's unfortunate because there have been multiple meetings, and neither myself nor Cori Bush or other members of the squad have been invited to any of these meetings, and it's unacceptable and it's frustrating.
So Senator Manchin has outlined some of the things he's concerned about in the larger plan. He talks about the expansion of Medicare to include dental, vision, and hearing, new paid family and medical leave provisions, tuition-free community college, aggressive climate measures. He certainly wants to dial that back, Congressman.
Well, we're focused on bottom-up economics, making sure we center the grassroots, making sure we center those who are most vulnerable. If we cut back Medicare expansion, we cut back on our seniors. we cut back on people who need health care. If you work in this country, if you work full-time in this country, you should have access to quality health care, dental, optical, and hearing. The climate crisis is here. Hurricane Ida just destroyed New York and New Jersey. 50 people were killed. We got to go big on climate change. And obviously, we have to take care of our children. If we don't take care of our children, there is no future democracy. How are we going to negotiate and cut back on any of that?
How do you reach a deal then, short of somehow just changing Joe Manchin's mind?
We keep doing what we've been doing. But you also have to, we have to reach those communities, to have those communities reach their legislators, because that's the thing. When people call our offices and say, from our districts, this is what we want. Now, I won't talk about, I can't talk about what happened with certain ones in their states, but in our districts, when they call us and say, no, I want you to vote this way, that's how we move.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you laugh when I said changing Joe Manchin's mind?
You know, Joe Manchin and others like him have a certain perspective that I think is incorrect. He thinks investing in a bottom-up economy is entitlement. He claims he's worried about inflation. But I think we need to have a conversation about the special interests that support Joe Manchin and many others.
Yes.
And we need to understand that when we invest this way, it's better for the GDP and the economy going forward, but it's also better than for our well-being. When you put money in people's pockets, they spend that money. It creates demand, which creates supply, which creates jobs. We have to make sure we're putting money in people's pockets and lifting them out of a global pandemic. Look at what we've gone through over the last 18 months.
And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To hopefully brighten your day a bit, here's my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hey guys, how are you doing? I just want to say something just quick for you. I just want to say that be humble and do things that you've always been wanting to do. And the things that you have not been, just leave that behind. And also, be grateful what you have.
Thank you so much for watching. Appreciate the support. Another reminder that I'm giving out the $200 in just a few days, October 23rd. So you still have a few days to sign up if you haven't already. I have the details and instructions down in the description below. And everything is going great with the fam so far. Bella and Kalea doing their painting, doing their creative stuff. We're doing bike riding, kayaking, all that good stuff. So hope you're doing well as well. If you want to check out any of my other videos, you could click up here or down here, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.